After my son stepped away, the security guard whispered, "He's just tampered with your drink."
At 70 years old, I sold my business for $64 million. I built it from scratch. I took my only son and his wife to the best place in town to celebrate. He smiled. He raised a glass to my win. Then he tried to kill me when he thought I was blind to it. My son had no clue that someone else saw him. That soft alert started a plan to ruin his whole life step by step. Please tell me where you are watching from in the comments below before I go on. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you think you make a legacy, rather than just get one. The food place had a heavy quiet to it. You only heard soft forks on plates and low talks. Rich folks do not need to yell. Across the stiff cream cloth, my son Brian and his wife Jessica put on an act. Their grins were too big, their kind words too slick. Their fake awe felt like a trained act from the car ride. $64 million, Dad, Brian said. Shook his head like he was shocked. The glass seemed weak in his grip. Can you even grasp that sum? It is huge. A real proof of your hard life. I just nodded. I took a slow drink of my pomegranate juice. I felt the fib in his words. It had a known taste, sharp and sour. For 45 years, I gave my all to Vance Logistics. I began with one old truck and a strong belief. I knew I could do it best. I thought of lost sleep and dirty hands. Deep dread ate at my gut back then. Hard work and truth built that firm. Brian never got those traits. He just saw the $64 million. He never saw the pain. Jessica reached out and put her hand on mine. Her skin was cold. Her touch was brief. "We are so proud of you, Thomas, truly. Now you can rest. Enjoy your gains. Let us care for you." The words hung there. Let us care for you. It felt more like a plot than a kind deal. I looked at my son to find the old boy I knew. He used to ride next to me in my first truck. His tiny hand held a small car, but that boy was dead. Now stood a man with cold, greedy eyes. My dead wife, Alina, saw it long ago. She stood by the glass after Brian begged for cash again. She looked very sad. "Take care, Thomas," she told me. "He views you as a bank, not a dad." I felt she was too mean back then. Now in this rich room, her words hit me like pure truth. The talk was light and dull. They asked how I felt but ignored my reply. They spoke of their plans, a trip to Asia and a fresh car. They clearly felt their money woes were done. They spent my cash before it even hit my bank. A known pain hit my chest. It was the same letdown I felt when near my son. I hoped this night would change things. Maybe this grand win would bring me real respect. But I was wrong. I was not a dad out with his kin. I was a safe waiting to be unlocked. Brian stood up with a huge grin after the meal. "Jessica, my love," he said. He held out his hand. "Our song is on. Will you dance?" It was an old, slow tune, just more acting. A move meant to show me they were deeply in love. Jessica gave a shy nod. They walked to the small floor by the big piano. I watched them step in time. From far away they looked pure and glad, but I knew the real deal. I cleared Brian's bet debts 3 times. I backed the loan on their huge house. My cash kept their fake life intact. I looked back at my drink, just pomegranate juice. My doc was strict after my last test. "Your heart is tough, Thomas, but not bulletproof. No more booze. You drink pomegranate juice now." It was a small price for a long life. I spun the dark purple drink in my cup. I watched the ice hit the glass. I meant to enjoy my life, then I saw him. A guard in a crisp suit walked to my spot. He was older, maybe in his late 50s. His back was stiff and his eyes saw it all. He moved with silent intent. His eyes locked on me. He stopped by my seat. He leaned close like he had a secret. "Mr. Vance," he said in a low, firm hum. He sounded calm but very urgent. "I do not wish to scare you, sir." He paused. He looked at the dance floor and then back at me. "I stood by the bar. I saw your son. He came back to the table a short bit ago. He felt no one saw him. He dumped a small tube into your juice." The world froze. The piano song died out. The glass sounds left. I just heard my wild heartbeat. I gazed at the man with the tag named Victor. His face held a strict care, but his eyes showed deep, true fear. He spoke the truth. I did not gasp. I did not yell. Hard deals and big crises taught me to stay cool. A cold wave hit me. It felt like ice in my blood. I stared at my glass. The dark purple drink used to mean health. Now it looked like death. Every nerve told me to smash it on the wall. I wanted to face my son and make a mess, but I held back. I just looked at Victor. A mute pact passed between us. I gave him one tiny nod. That was all he needed. He stood tall. He tipped his hat and walked off. He hid in the dim light of the room. My brain rushed to link clues I ignored for years. Brian was always tense. He asked about my will often. He grew mad when I said I would live 24 more years. It was not just greed. It was much darker. He wanted me dead, not just rich. The kid I raised and loved tried to end me for my wealth. The vile thought stole my breath for a beat, but the harsh truth was clear. The $64 million was not a fun party. It was a clear death doom. Then the tune stopped. I saw Brian and Jessica stroll back to the table. Their faces were red with laughs. They looked so normal and glad. My son walked near with a smile just after he tried to drug me. The cold in my gut turned to hard steel. I felt pure grit. As they sat, I acted my heart out. I grabbed my gut and gave a low moan. "Jessica, your dad acts quite badly," Brian laughed. I shook my head and faked real pain. "No, it is not that." I made my voice sound weak. "My gut cramped up, an old issue. I must go home." Jessica faked deep dread. "Oh my, Thomas, need a doc. Let us drive you back." "No, no," I said, waving them off. This was the key spot. I could not let them close. "It will pass. I just need a bed." "I got a cab. It waits out there." Brian stood and helped me up. His hand felt like hot iron on my arm. "Are you sure, Dad? We can do it." "I am sure." I spoke hard. I held the table for help. Then my hand hit the tall cup of pomegranate juice. I knocked it down in a fake, clumsy move. The dark purple juice bled on the cream cloth. "Oh, silly me," I mumbled. They turned to call a clerk. I took the thick rag that soaked up the mess. It was wet and dense. I faked cleaning my pants. I folded it fast and hid it deep in my coat. It was my sole clue and pure proof of the grim truth. I did not wait for more talk. I turned and walked fast on my weak legs. I did not gaze back. I refused to see their smug joy. 20 minutes passed. I sat in the back of a mute car. Town lights blurred into lines of hue out the glass. My hand stayed in my coat. It held the wet rag. The sick, sweet scent of pomegranate filled the cab. I felt no rage or sad thoughts yet. That would arrive later. Now I just felt cold and clear. A snare was laid for me tonight, but I held the clue. I knew they were the caught ones. This was just the start. The cab left me a few streets from home. It hid in the late-night cars. I stood under a warm lamp for a bit. The wet rag felt so huge in my coat. My house sat near. Its bright lights shone in the dark, but I could not go there yet. Home held old ghosts of a life that was a fake lie. The framed pics, family trips, and birthdays felt dirty, like fine art now clad in toxic film. To go home meant giving up. It meant letting the pain and shock win. I could not let that be. Pain was too rich for me. I needed pure facts. I walked away from the quiet streets. I moved to the harsh, bright downtown glow. The dark night felt alive here. Loud alarms cried far off. The town hummed a numb tune. It fit my mood well. I craved cold truth. I needed hard facts. I needed a spot where truth dealt in sheer data, not messy love. I knew a quiet test lab hidden in a clinic. It ran all day for rich folks who sought quick, sly help. Vance Logistics used them for drug tests on staff. I went through the glass doors. The hall was quiet and chill. The air smelled clean. A young guy sat behind a thick glass wall. The screen light hit his face. He glanced up with a blank look. I drew the wet rag from my coat. It was trapped in a trash bag I found on the street. I put it in the slide tray. "I need a full tox screen on this," I said. My voice was calm. It hid my deep inner storm. "I must know all it holds. Do it tonight. Cost is no object." The clerk named Sam just nodded. He pulled the tray back. He checked the piece with cold care and typed on his screen. "A top rush test costs a lot, sir. Just do it," I said. I took out my card. He swiped my card. He slid a page to me and pointed low. "I need an email or phone to send the secure results. It takes 4 to 5 hours." I penned my own email, pushed the sheet back, and turned to go. A small, clean weight room sat nearby. But I could not sit. I could not stay still. I had to move. I found an open cafe nearby. It felt lost in time. I asked for a green tea I did not want. I sat in a booth to watch the dark city stir. My brain buzzed. It dealt with the mess using the same cold logic I built my firm with. My first urge was a call to the cops. I wanted to report the crime, but I tossed that thought fast. A cop log makes a public file. The tale would spill to the news. I saw the big print now. Logistics King Thomas Vance drugged by his own son. My name, my firm, my mark would be tied to this vile act for good. Elinor's past would hit the mud. It would be a big show. Cheap press and gossip hounds would feast. No, a public court and jail time could not fix this wrong. This was a deep, vile rot in my own kin. It did not need cop cuffs, it asked for a doctor's knife. It needed a quiet, keen, and stark cut. I thought back to find cues I surely missed. I saw Brian as a boy, a kid who lied with a calm, sweet face. He once blamed the next-door boy for a smashed glass. He clung to the fib even when faced with sheer facts. I recalled his teen years. He took things and kept them. He flatly ignored other folks' goods or thoughts. I named it sloppy youth. I made weak pleas for him. I told myself he would outgrow it. Elinor knew much better. She tried to warn me. I was a dense fool, a warm, eager, but totally blind fool. The scariest part was the tube. Victor, the guard, was exact. A tiny tube. This was not a fast burst of rage. It was planned out. My lone son had probed my health woes. He got a strict toxic drug. He brought that tube to the meal with one clear aim. He waited for a slick time. A short lapse to turn a fun feast into a hit job. He grinned at me and hailed my health. He did this while knowing he put my doom in my cup. The stark ice of the act terrified me. It lacked a soul entirely. My phone hummed on the wood. It was a fresh email. The top line was a bland set of digits. It was a case ID. My heart hit my ribs hard. I took a deep sigh. I unlocked the file and read the words. The page held odd science terms, but a basic brief sat at the top. My eyes darted down. Found compound metoprolol tartrate. Amount 2500 mg per 100 ml. I did not know the drug name, but I kept going. The worker added a short note. Metoprolol is a pill used for heart flaws. The normal dose ranges from 25 to 100 mg. The found dose is vastly huge for a person with past heart issues. Drinking this amount would surely force a fast cardiac fail within 2 to 3 hours. The signs would match a natural deadly heart attack flawlessly. A heart attack, that is how it would seem. The sad son, the bad but expected end of an old boss. It was the best kill plan. I shut my phone. The green tea got cold. A small bit of me clung to thin hope. I prayed it was a huge goof or a bad joke, but that hope vanished. The hard science on the screen crushed it. The sheet was a death slip. Luckily, I did not need it. I looked out the cafe glass. Early dawn shades hit the city rims. A fresh day began. I felt no rage or fury. Those moods were too wild and hot. I felt a vast, icy calm. It arrives when doubt fades and only brutal truth sits there. My son tried to end my life. Now I knew my next task. The time to weep for my lost boy ended. I had to deal with the beast he grew into. I grabbed my phone. I skipped 911. I called the private line of my lawyer, Rachel Hayes. I had to build my troop. I left the cafe and walked. The sky shifted from pitch black to a bruised purple. I felt torn from this early dawn. The town mostly slept, but my mind was fully alert. It buzzed with cold zip. Each step on the walk was precise. Every breath was exact. The shock burned off. It left behind pure, rigid grit. I knew who to ring. I trusted only one pal to brave the coming storm. I stood on a still curb and dialed her cell from my head. It rang twice. A crisp voice spoke at this foul hour. "Hayes, Rachel, it is Thomas. I must see you now." She did not pause or yawn. Said okay. My desk, 40 minutes, the line cut off. Her desk sat on the 40th floor of a tall glass block above the town. When I got there, the space was quiet. The main hall was bare except for one guard, but the direct lift to her floor took my card just fine. The doors parted not to a front desk but right into her own room. She stood by the tall glass pane. Her shape popped against the slow rising sky. She held a half-empty mug. Rachel Hayes was in her early 50s. She had her dad's firm glare and a very swift brain. Her dad, Robert, was my top pal. He helped me start the tough early firm. I knew Rachel since she was a young tot with braids and a fierce love for debates. I watched her grow up. She passed her law tests top of the class. When Robert died, she took his job as my lawyer and close chum. She was the nearest thing I had to a girl of my own. She was kin built on years of shared past and pure trust. "Thomas," she said, turning from the view. Her sharp eyes read my face. "You look like you fought a war. The war just starts," I shot back. I skipped basic polite chat. I sat in a plush seat across her big wood desk. I told her all. I began with the meal, the dull talk, and the fake grins. I told her the guard's exact speech. It felt just as crazy saying it out loud again. Then I slid my phone over her sleek desk. The lab test sat open on the glass. She grabbed it. Her look grew stern as she read the harsh medical facts. She placed it down soft. Her grip went white. She peered at me. I saw both lawyer rage and family wrath in her eyes. "That son of a," she cursed softly, a slow, grim hiss. "He did it at last. He crossed the bad line." She stood up and walked the floor. She was tight with spark. "Right, first call goes to the top local cop. I will wake him up. We get an arrest tag for Brian before sunrise. Pre-planned murder try. With this test and the guard talk, it is a deadlock win." I raised a hand. "No," she paused and glared. "No, Thomas, he tried to end you." "And what next?" I asked with a low, hard tone. "News hits, a public court mess. The Vance name rolls in the mud for months, maybe years. All I built and what a leaner stood for drops to a dirty crime book. My life mark becomes my killer son. Is that a win, Rachel?" She kept mute for a bit. She scanned my face. She got it. This was not about strict laws. This was about righting wrongs. "So what do you seek?" she asked with less edge. "This is no jail trip. It is a firm fix, a strict shift of his truth. Jail is far too mild. He does not earn that calm end. I aim to take the pure prize he killed for. I will seize the money, all of it. I want him to wake up and see his given world is gone." A slow, grim grin hit Rachel's lips. It was the exact smile her dad wore prior to beating a rival. "I see," she said. "This is not court law. This is utter ruin. I know a good agency. They are former FBI and IRS agents. They work like unseen ghosts. They love doing this job. They can learn Jessica's toothpaste brand from far away. A team will watch them by dawn. They will search all parts of Brian and Jessica's lives. We will get a full money and life report in 9 days. I nodded and said, "Good. I will do my job while they search." Rachel raised an eyebrow. "I will act the way they expect. I will be the sad dad and the blind old man. They must think their plot nearly won. They must think I just had a small health scare. They will make mistakes if they feel safe. They must think the big reward is close." I told her about the call I expected from Brian. I also told her the thought I put in his mind. I said I was making a huge family trust. I will let them think that is my top goal. I will hang the money right before their eyes. Rachel smiled wider. "Let greed make them dumb. It is an old trick because it works. It works every time." She looked at a framed photo on her shelf. It showed her as a smiling teen. She stood between me and her dad on a boat. "My dad always called you a better card player," she said quietly. "He said you knew when to wait, quit, or risk it all," she told me. I looked at the picture and felt sad. Robert would know how to fix this. He also said I was smarter than both of them together. He was right. "I recall being about 12, Rachel said, looking far away. "You and my dad were in our house. You laid plans for the first large warehouse on the floor. You were very glad. I remember seeing Brian. He was maybe 14 and sat in the corner. He did not care. He just broke the arms off his toy slowly because he was bored. We let that bad memory stay in the room. It was a dark sign from long ago. It was a warning we missed." "Fine," Rachel said, her voice sharp again. "The plot is ready. Step 1 is finding facts. Step 2 is the trap. You keep them calm and busy. I will do the rest." She went back to her computer. She typed very fast. I walked to the glass. The sun was a bright orange line far away. The town below woke up. Many lights went out as day broke. I felt no joy at all. I felt only a dark, heavy duty. My boy began a war. He did this when he put that poison in my cup. But up in this room, high above the sleeping earth, his dad and godsister made a trap to beat him. The sun came up on his new life. He did not know his life was done. I did not wait much. The next day I sat in my room with a cup of green tea. My phone rang. The screen showed Brian's name. I let it ring 4 times. I waited to hide that I knew he would call. At last I took the call. I made my voice sound weak and tired. "Hello," I said. My voice was low. "Dad, thank God you picked up," he said. Brian spoke with fake care. It was a great act, I must say. He sounded out of breath and wild. "I was so scared," he said. "Jessica and I did not sleep at all. We called many times, but you did not answer. Are you fine? What occurred? Did you see a doctor?" I heard his fast questions clearly. He did not care about my health. He badly wanted facts. He had to know if his plot failed or was found out. He looked for any sign of doubt. I leaned back in my old chair. It made a soft sound. I got ready to give him the words he craved. "Calm down, boy, I am fine." I laughed softly to brush off his fears. It was just a small shock. I met my doctor today. I stopped to let him wait. He said it was just a bad stomach ache. All the heavy food and sauces did it. My stomach is old now. The doctor said it feels like a heart attack. My chest felt tight, but he checked me. My heart is great. I felt his big relief through the line. He let out a soft breath. His voice got loose right away. He did not care about what I said. He just wanted to hear that I had no doubts. He found that. The tale made sense. It was plain. It kept him clean. Stomach ache. "Are you quite sure?" he asked to be safe. "You ran off fast. You looked very white." "The doctor is sure, and I am too," I said with firm tone. "My body is not as strong as before, Brian. I must just accept that now." I made a long, tired sigh. I had planned this sound. It was meant to sound like a man thinking about his own end. A man thinking of what he leaves behind. This was the right time to start. "You know, boy," I started with a soft, deep voice, "that small scare last night made me think hard. At my age, you learn time is not sure. We must set things straight." "What do you mean, Dad?" he asked with a sharp tone. The fake fear left. A keen interest took its place. I stayed quiet for a bit. I acted like I was thinking. "I spoke with Rachel Hayes today," I said on purpose. Naming my lawyer made my words sound official. "We talked about my wealth. That sale, $64 million. It changes lots of things. It makes it hard." "Right," he said. "Yes, for sure," Brian said fast. His voice was full of eager hope. "And I made a choice," I said smoothly to trap him. "The best plan is to build a huge family trust. I want to be sure you and Jessica are safe. I want this cash to bless our heirs for years. It must not be a heavy load. Rachel is writing the forms right now." There was quiet. The line was dead silent for 5 whole seconds. I could hear him thinking hard. I felt his greed beat every other fear. It beat the botched kill plot. The near miss and old fears vanished fast. A bright, legal, solid fortune took their place. "A trust," he stuttered at last. His voice was thick with huge joy he tried to hide. "Dad, that is great. You do not have to do that. We are okay." His refusal was very weak and clear to see. It was funny. It was the fake, polite reply of a man who just won the world. There it was. The trap caught him. The rope pulled tight. The prey took all the bait. "Silly talk," I said kindly. I played the good father. "You are my one boy. Who else gets this? This is my gift, keeping you safe. That is all I care for now." "I do not know what to say," he replied. I think he told the truth for the first time. His head was full of money. He could not think straight at all. He began to spend the cash in his mind. He lived in the rich time he tried to kill for. He thought he got it for free now. "Say no more," I said with soft tone. "Just be near. Rachel will need you and Jessica to sign papers in 9 days. We will chat then. I must sleep now. This old man is very tired." "Yes, Dad, go rest, and thank you, truly thanks." I ended the call and put the phone on the wood desk. The room went quiet again. I looked at the black glass. My face was a weak shadow there. I felt no joy and no win. I felt just a cold, dark peace. The act worked well. I used his huge greed as a tool to fight him. It worked flawlessly. He was now a glad part of my trick. He felt safe and felt like he won. He would look for a pen to sign. He would not look for traps in the dark. I got us time. Time for Rachel's team to search. Time for me to build a tight cage. The game ran on my rules now. My boy did not know he was beaten. 9 days went by. They were the most calm and strict days I ever had. I lived my days with deep, slow peace. I took Brian's daily calls. They were full of fake, sweet love now. He asked about my body, my food, and my talks with Rachel. Each question was a soft test. He checked if the cash cow still made money. I acted my part very well. I was the old dad glad for his son's care. I ignored the dark water below. I told him Rachel worked on hard steps. I said it took time. He was calm. Sure, he was calm. What is a wait of 9 days when you think $64 million is the prize? I fed him nice, calm words. Rachel's men moved like wolves through my son's dark life. On the 10th day, Rachel sent an email. The title was just the word report. The mail text was blank. It just had a locked file in it. I opened the file. My built-up calm broke. A hard ball of disgust hit my gut. The file was not just about cash. It showed a life lived in wild fear. The start shocked me. Open debt was $900,000. This money sat on many credit cards. 12 cards were full to the top limit. They had fancy black cards that promised high status. I looked through the long lists. It read like a fake life. Top hotels in the Maldives, an $8,500 shopping trip in Paris. One meal in Chicago cost more than my first car. It was a very rich lifestyle, but it was built on plastic cards and lies, but that was just the start. I read more. She had a leased Range Rover and he had a Mercedes E-Class. The monthly fees were huge. They were 4 months late on both cars. Warning notes were out already. They had a big house in a safe zone. It looked like a great success. I gave them the first payment for that home as a wedding gift. I thought they would make a family there. I saw they took a second loan on the house 3 years ago. They used the value I gave them. They took all it's worth. They were 110 days late on both loans. The bank was ready to take the house. It got worse. The team found bad high-fee loans. Banks did not give these loans. Bad men gave them. These men do not send nice letters for late pay. This added $600,000 more. These loans paid off older loans. It was a wild, sad act to stop a crash. They were sinking fast. The final sum was huge. Brian and Jessica, my good boy and his sweet wife, owed over $2.5 million. They spent way past their money. They lived in a fake money world. Lies and debt held it up. I sat back in my chair. The sums swam in my eyes. The kill plot, the bad liquid, the cold plan all hit me. It all became clear and scary. I thought it was just ugly greed. I thought they wanted money fast to live even better, but I was quite wrong. This did not fund a dream. It meant to flee a bad real life. The $64 million was not an extra treat. It was not a big win. It was a rescue rope. It was the sole thing to stop their world from falling apart. The lost home, the taken cars, the bad men asking for cash. Everything was going to hit them soon. They did not just want my cash. They were very scared. They were trapped beasts. Trapped beasts do all things to live. This fact hit me cold and heavy like a grave rock. This was not an act of hate or simple greed. It was a business choice. It was a cold look at risk. In their heads, the great prize erased $2.5 million of debt. Getting more millions beat the risk of a jail cell. My life was just a line on a ledger. They chose to cash it in. I saw the file again with the nice food spots, top brands, and far-off places. It was an empty life. It was an act for folks who were not there. They made a weak card house by an edge. The wind started to blow hard. They bet all on the hope that I would drop dead soon. They thought nature or their hands would do it. A new sort of rage grew in me. It was unlike the first shock and pain. This was a cold, sharp hate. My boy did not just try to end his dad. He took every gift, chance, and act of care I gave. He turned them all into a tool to strike me. He used my kind heart to pay for the life that now broke him. He chose my death to save his own skin. I shut the file. The first part of the riddle was set. I knew their goal now. I knew it with cold, hard math. It was much worse than I ever thought. I sent the mail to Rachel with a short note. The base is bad. Dig more. The first report was a hit to the gut. The next one came 5 days later. A blade to the heart. I spent those days very angry. I thought about my boy's huge money fear. I thought I grasped the reason. I thought I saw the low point. I was wrong. There were much worse acts of treason I had not yet guessed. The mail from Rachel had just one word again. Update. I opened the file. It was not a chart of late bills this time. It was a set of spy notes, talks, and typed voice files. They looked at Brian and Jessica's new moves. They tried to learn how they would use the fast money. My eyes saw the names of top art shops in Chicago, Seattle, and Miami. I felt mixed up. How did art link to them? Then I read the first name, Jessica Vance. I read the text of a legal phone tape. A spy acted as an art helper. Jessica's voice sounded soft and classy. It had a planned, sad tone. Yes, I am Jessica Vance, the text said. My spouse's dad is Thomas Vance. You might know his firm, Vance Logistics. She stopped to let the rich name sink in. Sadly, Thomas's health is going down fast. He is close to the end, I fear. We try to fix his things. It is a hard time for us. My hand shook. Close to the end. She spoke like I was dead already. I read more. My dead mother-in-law, Eleanor, loved art. She left a small key set of old paintings. My spouse's dad asked me to sell the art. He wants it quiet. A closed sale to a smart buyer. He does not want big crowds or high costs of an auction. wants her art to get a good home. I had to stop. I moved my chair back and went to the wall. The first art Alina and I bought hung there. It was a small view by a new artist from a street fair. We lacked cash for it. We paid in 5 steps. I recall taking it to our small flat. Alina's face had huge joy. It hurt to see such deep joy. She put it up and said, "There, that is our view to the life we will make, Thomas." I looked at a big, wild canvas with bright greens and hot oranges. She got it the week she beat cancer the first time. "This is how healing feels," she told me, holding my hand. A great, scary, fine mess. Each frame was a part of our life. It was not a cash asset. It was Alina's spirit, made in rich paints. She collected deep feelings, wins, and sad times. Her soul was in the strokes and cloth. I sat down and read more. The text said Jessica sent sharp photos of the art to the shops. She took them on the sly with her phone when she came to my house lately. On those visits, she gave me soup, fixed my bed, and asked of my health with fake care. She never checked on my health. She scouted my home for goods. She listed my wife's soul to sell it to the top buyer. The spies went to a shop. The boss recalled his chat with Jessica. The text quoted her saying her spouse's dad was dying fast. She said she got all the art alone and wanted to price the goods. She made it clear to keep it a secret until the sad end came. The sad end meant my death. I shut my eyes. I saw them. Brian and Jessica walked my halls looking at the walls. They missed the old times, the love, and Alina. They saw just cash tags. They looked at a rich life and saw a fast way to pay card debts. They saw my wife's gift as a first payment on a new Range Rover. The try to kill me was for cash. My cash. I could start to grasp that trick on a cold level, but this felt worse. This was a foul act. This was an erasure. They did not just want me dead. They wanted to kill my wife's memory to sell her spirit for money. And Brian, my boy, stood by and let it pass. He let his wife act like a jackal in a chic dark designer suit. She circled his own mom's goods. He backed every lie and every saw. I thought that was the end. I thought my mind was set. I was wrong. Rachel's team sent one last file. It turned my hot rage into cold ice. It came the next day. The subject said final report. I opened the file. The first page was a clear copy of a legal paper. It was a health power of attorney. This paper gave Brian Vance full power. He could see all my health files. He could make life or death choices for his dad, Thomas Vance. My bold name was at the bottom, but it was not mine. I have signed my name many times. I signed big deals and playing cards. I know every line and flaw in my name. This fake signature was very good. It looked almost real. It could trick any worker who did not know better. But it was fake. I never signed it. Even in bad dreams, I would not give my son that much power over my life. The detective wrote short, scary notes below it. He sent the paper to my main clinic 4 months ago. 4 months. This was no quick choice. It was a long plan. He started it way before the firm sold. He worked on this for many months. I went to the next page. His awful plan became clear. The detectives got the clinic's computer logs. The file showed every record Brian took with the fake form. He got my full heart history. He took my last stress test results. He got a list of all my pills, their amounts, and side effects. He saw my bad allergies. He had a full map of my weak points. But the team did more. They tracked his digital steps. The last part showed his web searches. He used secret phones and public PCs. All signs led to my son. They made a simple list of his searches. It showed a plot to kill. How to get a parent's health files. Fast drugs for a heart attack. Beta blockers with no taste in stores. Deadly dose of drug for a heavy man with a weak heart. How to fake a natural death. Will tests show a drug overdose? I read the list 2 times, then a 3rd time. The words stayed on the page, clear and real. This was the hard proof. This was the last piece of the game. It tied it all together. The fake form gave him the facts. The web searches showed his aim. The lab paper from the diner was proof of his act. I sat back. His evil acts were now fully clear to me. He was not just a son killing his dad for cash. He was a cold planner. He studied my health like a boss studies a war map. He looked for the best weak spot to strike. He planned my death like a cold math test. My life was just a thing to remove. The closeness of the act broke my heart. He took my most private facts. He used the data that kept me alive as a weapon. It ruined the deep tie between a dad and a child. A son should protect you when you get old. My son chose to be my killer. Right then, any soft feelings I had for him turned to dust. The boy he was vanished. This man was not my son. He was a cold beast. He looked at me and saw a block in his path, not a dad. The bond of love was cut. The tie holding us for 45 years broke for good. The rage left me. A cold and risky firm belief took its place. No more questions, no more doubts, just the final move. The search was done. It was time to act. I grabbed my phone. I knew Rachel's number by heart. I called. She picked up fast. "Did you see it?" she asked with a mad voice. "I saw it," I said. My voice was calm and flat. It had no feeling. It was my deal-making voice. The voice I used right before a win. "We have it all. The plot is clear." "What is the plan, Thomas?" "Time for the meeting," I said. "Get the big room for next Tuesday. Tell them it is the signed day for the Vance Family Trust. Tell them to come ready for joy." I stopped. I looked at the clear sky outside. It is time to read the will in a way, but I will only give my son the truth, every bad fact of it. The meeting day came with a dark sky. I stood by the glass in Rachel's high room. I looked at the city below. The cars looked like small metal bugs. They moved fast. They did not know about the big event high up here. The room felt strong. A long dark wood desk shone like glass. It caught the gray light. 12 tall seats stood like quiet guards. This was no place for nice talks. This was a place to make cash and break lives. Rachel and I sat up for an hour. We spoke little. We had no need. Every step was planned out. Every paper was checked 3 times. A clean pile of 5 fat green folders sat by her seat. Others would see plain legal files. We saw a set of weapons. She moved them a bit. She made their edges line up right. It was the calm act of a doctor fixing tools before a cut. Right at 10:00, the door swung open. Brian and Jessica walked in. They brought a proud vibe that felt wrong in the quiet space. They dressed up a lot. Brian wore a new custom double-breasted jacket. Jessica wore a stylish, dark designer suit. It stood out in the dull room. They glowed. They showed crazy joy from a long-sought win. "Dad," Brian yelled. His wide smile looked hard to hold. He walked fast and hugged me. He had not hugged me first in 24 years. I stood very still. My arms stayed down. I bore the touch. A strange man hugged me. His touch felt bad. My skin crawled. He smelled of rich scent and greed. Jessica was close behind. She kissed my cheek. "Thomas, you look great," she chirped. Her eyes shone. "See, we said a small rest would fix you." Her gaze darted past me. She stared at the green files on the desk. Pure greed flashed in her eyes. It came and went fast, but I saw it. They said hi to Rachel like she was no one. "Rachel, good to see you," Brian said. He went to sit down. They saw her as basic help, just a worker doing their cash papers. They did not know she was the maker of their doom. They sat across the table. They looked like a glad pair about to get very rich. They held hands tight. Jessica could not stop smiling. Her eyes jumped from my face to the green files. Brian sat back. He acted like a boss. He felt the room, the desk, and the cash were his. He rubbed his hands. "The big day, the signing of the Vance Family Trust. Sounds nice, right, honey?" "It sounds grand," Jessica said in a soft tone. I watched them like a bug under a glass. I looked at their faces and moves. Their eyes lit up about the coming years, a life built on my death, a life they would never get. A odd peace hit me. I felt far away from my own flesh. I burned this view into my mind. This last quick look at their dumb bliss. I would never see them smile again. Rachel, acting pro, offered them green tea or water. They both took water. Their thrill made them dry. While the aide poured, Brian spoke of plans. "We want to visit the Greek islands to party," he said to me. "You should come, Dad. You need a real trip." "That is kind, son," I said with a flat voice. The space got quiet as the aide left. The heavy door clicked shut for good. The noise bounced in the room. It sounded like a locked door, a trap snapping shut. Rachel sat with a straight back. Her face was blank. She put her hands flat on the desk by the files. She stared right at Brian, then Jessica. She looked at them for a long, bad moment. The crazy joy in the room went sour. A faint fear took its place. "Thanks for coming," she said. Her voice was sharp and clear in the quiet. "Before we sign anything, we have some early points to go over." Her tone was pure work, but her eyes showed a bad sign. It was the glare of a beast that knows the hunt is done. Brian's smile dropped for a blink. Jessica held his hand tighter. The air got thick with hidden truths. The fake show was done. The sharp blow was next. Rachel let the quiet drag on for a bit. She crossed her hands on the desk. Her face was as still as stone. Brian and Jessica shifted in their seats. Their proud grins looked like weak masks. "Thanks for coming," she said once more. Her voice sliced the thick air. "As I noted, we must clear some items before we sign." She grabbed the top file. The soft noise of it opening was too loud in the quiet room. She slid one paper over the shiny desk to them. It was the test report. "Item 1, Rachel said with flat tones. "This is a drug test from a good private lab. They checked a drop from your dad's table at the Grand View Diner 2 weeks back." Brian looked down at the sheet fast. His face froze hard. Rachel did not let him read it all. She knew the text by memory. "It shows a dose of metoprolol tartrate about 25 times the normal amount. The lab says this dose is, to quote, very sure to cause a deadly heart attack in a man with Mr. Vance's bad heart." Jessica stared at the page, then at her man. Pure shock fought deep dread on her face. Brian did not look at her. He could not. He just gazed at the bad words on the page. Before they could talk, Rachel had the next file open. "Item 2, she called out. She slid a thick cash report next to the first one. "This shows your real cash flow. It lists all you own and all you owe." She paused so they could view the front. "It lists 2 bad house loans. Banks will take your cars back soon. You have a shared dark debt of $2,800,000. It also says the bank will seize your home next month." All color left Jessica's face. Her happy glow died out. A pale, sick white look took its place. Her hand moved off Brian's like a hot stove burned it. The dream was gone. The bad truth sat on the desk right there. "I do not get it," Jessica mumbled, looking at me. "What is this?" Rachel ignored her. She opened file number 3. "Item 3. This is a text record of a call. You made it, Mrs. Vance, to the Halloway Art Shop in Chicago." Rachel's cold eyes stared hard at Jessica like sharp ice. She read from the sheet with no tone. "My father-in-law, Thomas Vance. His health is very bad now. He is dying soon, I fear. He asked me to sell the art pieces quietly." Brian finally looked at his wife. His face showed shock and deep blame. He knew about the huge debt, but I saw this call was new to him. This was her own quiet trick. "And last," Rachel said, her voice low, "Item 4. She opened the last file. She slid the papers onto the big pile of proof. "A fake health power paper sent to Northwood Clinic 4 months ago, and a log of web looks from cheap phones. They include deadly dose, metoprolol, and how to fake a natural death." That was it, the last piece. The room was so quiet. No breaths, no moves. It was quiet like a grave. Brian and Jessica did not look human now. They were stones of fear. Their faces stayed stuck in deep shock. The great life they cheered just minutes ago was wrecked. It got smashed down right in front of them. Jessica found her voice first, a tiny weak whisper. "This is a mistake. I did not." That is when I talked. My voice lacked rage. It was not loud. It held a deep, tired tone. It felt like it took all air from the room. I looked right at my son. "There will be no family trust, Brian." The hard end in my words hit them like a big punch. The last tiny spark of hope died in their eyes. Rachel took her turn. Your dad is right, she said, her pro voice came back. There is no trust for you to sign. The $64 million move is done. She let that phrase float in the air for a bit. All the cash went to a new locked charity group. It is the Aliner Vance Fund. I watched their faces. Rachel twisted the knife with cold law facts. The fund will give cash to new young artists. It will pay for animal-safe lands and wild parks. Your mom cared most for these two causes. She looked at both of them. The papers were signed and filed 9 days ago. The fund works now. You have no entry. You have no power. You will not see a single dime. The ruin was total. Jessica let out a noise, a half-sob, half-gasp. Brian just sat there, crushed. His world fell apart. Then I gave them their fate. You have two choices, I said. My voice was calm like a doctor's steady hand. These are the only paths left for you. So hear me well. Choice one, we end this meeting now. Rachel will call the local prosecutor. She knows him very well. All this proof will sit on his desk inside an hour. Cops will arrest you. They will charge you with plot, fraud, and a try to kill me. The facts are huge. You both will be guilty. You will spend long years in jail. Your lives as you know them will end. I let them think on it. The steel cuffs, the court, the cage. Or I went on, there is choice two. Rachel slid a thick page over the desk. A pen came next. You sign this. It is a firm legal deal. In it, you give up all future claims to my cash or your mom's cash. You will hand over the deed to your house. A shell firm paid the house loans in full. The fund owns it now. You will give the home to the Aliner Vance Fund. You will pack one bag each. You will walk out of this room. You will leave my life for good. You will never call me or my folks ever again. In return, I stopped. I will not press charges. This proof, I pointed at the desk pile, will stay in a safe vault kept by this law firm. If you break this pact in any way, it goes to the cops fast. You will stay free, but you will have zero else. You start from zero, just the clothes on your back. I sat back in my seat. Rachel and I stayed quiet. The pick was theirs, ruin or jail, blank slate or end of life. The pen sat on the desk between them. It waited. They did not talk.